This is so late, but let's do it anyway. Yeah, I did see Gary's last response to my last video, and initially I decided to just ignore it because I was a bit tied up and because it was just unfocused and just downright uncivilized. Yeah, he left a comment on that video actually, and it's still there for anyone to see. But he said to call all difference between men and women a social contrivance is just bullshit. And yes, it is. And I'd like to know with whom the fuck he's arguing, since I at no point said that all differences are a social contrivance. How many times did I stress the importance of physical differences? Fucking plenty. So clearly what we have here is someone who's not paying close enough attention to the content he's criticizing. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole, but that's what's fucking going on here. Why did he feel the need to go on about males with big, giant, pointy things on their heads? Why point that out when I made it abundantly clear that the physical distinctions are irrelevant? And despite all of that, you know, I still wouldn't be responding, but he took a poke at it again in last night's What the Fuck. So yeah, and the initial response, you know, he made it sound like I was pushing this topic. You know, he said, oh, well, doesn't want to respond, but Anti-Bullshit Man's pushing it. Well, no, I was simply interacting with my commenters. I know it's a foreign concept to you, Gary, but I mean, anyone who routinely posts negative feedback on your board just gets screamed at and because, oh, well, the videos are fucking labeled, so, you know, you knew what you were in for, assholes. I mean, that's just stupid. I don't get this kiss my ass or type nothing at all mentality some bloggers have, where any genuine constructive text criticism is mistaken for trolling. It's just, I mean, we gotta interact with our commenters here. But anyway, back on board. So yeah, I said fuck it. I'll just watch the video again now though, and yeah, I just gotta cover some of this straw because he's just twisted the intent of my questions so arrogantly, and he damn well knows it. So yeah, so you're the one who dug the hole, Gary, and now you're gonna get buried in it. I'd love to play his video, but it would just end up being a 20-parter because he just had to play my video and his was like 40 minutes. So I'll just have to accurately paraphrase. So he starts out mocking me by rolling his eyes and shaking his head and face-palming himself while playing my video. And all I'm doing is I'm just simply explaining why I'm doing the follow-up. And that warrants mockery, apparently. So he answers my first question, which was, is being fearless of combat an inherent trait of being a man? Should any man be ashamed of losing a fight or, you know, not even wanting to fight because they're afraid of getting hurt? And he answers that question by saying shit like, well, male cats beat the shit out of each other. I've seen just as many female cats do the exact same, by the way. So, but again, it's a non sequitur. Then he talks about how, you know, he wants to charge a tank because he's a man on a mission. He's one of those assholes. So right there, he'll concede that it's only certain men, since he said I'm one of those assholes. So it's not all men, but it's inherent to manliness. Even though there's tons of species where females do the damn charging, and even with those exceptions notwithstanding, all this is irrelevant anyway, since my question does not boil down to whether or not males have more aggression overall. The damn question boils down to, does it make logical sense in a civilized context for men to feel ashamed over running away from a fight? So how does Gary's reply in any way deal with the substance of this question? Now, he did do an add-on pointing out that what I'm saying actually gets turned around in most cases, because men will actually often look at the bigger guy as the coward for beating up on a midget. But it's not about size though. So say we have a David versus Goliath scenario, and it's actually Goliath who's getting bullied around by little David, who took kickboxing since the age of 5, so he's really dangerous. While Goliath, yeah, he has size, but you know, he just sits on his ass all day, drinking tea and eating Cheetos. So yeah, let's say, you know, Goliath runs away because he's scared, and he admits he's scared. You know how women can freely say, I'm scared, you're scaring me, without the slightest concern over losing pride for it. I mean, you damn well know that Goliath would not have that same privilege extended to him. And it's a society-imposed lack of privilege. You're telling me Goliath wouldn't get shit from everyone, even today, for saying that he's scared of David? He would, because he's a big fucking man. And you have no clue how many fights I've seen where you can tell one of the two guys was not comfortable going into the fight with the other lunatic, no matter how many, how well he tried to hide it. And there's a reason he tried to hide it. He couldn't be honest about it because he'd get shit from everyone. Because he was born with a chromosome that says you're supposed to get shit over it if you don't go through with it. And it's fucking uncivilized bullshit. So yeah, there is a force, and it still exists today. Maybe get out of Inmendham every now and then and go pay a visit to Compton, and you'll see the damn force you deny exists. But then you halfway justify it when you say that, well, what if the guy says something about the other guy's mother? As if that would give the green light for violent acts. But I guess then you say, you come back and say, well, it's actually not okay, but don't deny the drive to assault exists. But I'm not denying the damn drive. All I'm saying is, it's not exclusive to men only. Men don't have a fucking a copyright on that shit. And then when I go into my, what's the bigger crime question about the man-woman violence dichotomy, victim thing, he again stresses the psychology of the assaulter is what needs to be understood, though not tolerated. But I'm not talking about the psychology of the assaulter. I mean, him and I fully agree that rage will exist in the assaulter, and that's why we have the damn assault in the first place. What I'm talking about is men being disrespected for running away from that raging bull headed straight towards them. And you keep making it all about the bull's nature and psychology, while I'm talking about the poor fucker who's running away from the damn bull being told that no, you need to go out there and face the damn raging bull and risk getting the bull's horns stuck up your ass. Because if you don't, you're not being a real fucking bull, and we're going to ostracize you for it. So deal with that problem, because it still exists in plenty of civilized countries. And I just don't know how to make it any more clear. I understand rage urges violent acts. I really do. And I understand wanting to punch someone's face in, especially when they're butchering the point of someone else's fucking videos. And it's pretty well documented that both of us have had that rage come up since we've had, our videos poorly paraphrased by other assholes all the time. Only difference is I'm focusing in on the perspective of men who may be intimidated and how they often pretend they're not intimidated, and it's society making them feel ashamed for it. And as a result, they go into combat and get brutalized when there existed an alternative solution. And then you said, that when I asked my, woman getting the worst of a man who's just barely stronger than her, you said it's actually, worse than in a scenario where it's Bruce Lee kicking the shit out of, Clay Aiken or something. I mean, what happened with the scale of suffering being the measuring stick in all philosophy? We're just going to sweep it under the rug now? And as for women are sluts for sleeping around, well, men are players for sleeping around, I just can't believe how you missed the point of it completely. You said it's nature-based. You actually said when it comes to this, it's in women's interest to be discriminatory, while it's in men's interest not to be. So let's just assume that's a well-accepted fact, that men are always hornier than women. You're saying that based on this, women should be treated with less respect for doing the exact same thing as men, which is fucking the shit out of the opposite sex. And you can't see how this is blatant discrimination. I mean, and as for the gay and lesbian thing, the mannerisms, you say it's a fair assumption. You see no harm in assuming. But firstly, I mean, it's not a fair assumption, because homosexuality is defined as being attracted to the same sex. There's nothing in the definition of homosexuality mentioning how they're supposed to speak, dress, or just how a homosexual is supposed to carry him or herself. And you just accepted the superficial definitions as the definitions. And I'm saying we need to move away from those because they have nothing to do with a lack of attraction to the opposite sex. They are 100% fabrication. And the harm comes in, as I mentioned before, is when people will start masking their true characteristics. Straight women will suppress their natural butchiness, and straight men will suppress their natural, helium accent, just because they don't want to give off the impression that they are something that they're not.